Look at it this way. A man takes a job, and that job, that becomes what he is. You know, like you do a thing, and that's what you are. I've been a cabbie for 17 years, 10 years a night, and still I don't own my own cab. You know why? Because I don't want to. I must be what I want. You know, to be on the night shift driving somebody else's cab. Understand? You get a job, you become the job. One guy lives in Brooklyn, one guy lives in Sutton Place. You get a lawyer, you get a doctor, another guy dies, another guy gets well, and you know, people are born. I envy you, your youth. Go out and get laid, get drunk, you know, do anything, because you got no choice anyway. I mean, we're all screwed, more or less, you know.
Dave Burns, another obscure figure. Dave, we'll call a musician's musician. Anyone playing trumpet, anyone close to the jazz community had high respect for Dave Burns. Playing in big bands, medium-sized ensembles through the years where he was not at the forefront, you know, in terms of being on the billboard, he had respect. John Hammond again decides he should be making his own records. So Burns made 2 records for Vanguard. This is one of them. A total keeper. It's a semi-classic record of the period. This is probably 1961-62. And the beauty of this is that it's the original red label Vanguard as well, near mint. I knew of this record, but I had never encountered it until that one day. And of course, Kenny Barron's on this record. Kenny's probably 20 years old on this record. Steve Davis on bass, would play with a little bit with Coltrane. Herbie Morgan is a tenor player that you don't hear a lot about, but he's a nice, in-the-pocket, mainstream to modern tenor player, very tasty player. Not an innovator, but beautiful ideas. He's probably not on the level of a Joe Henderson, but Dave Burns, he ended up being an appliance salesman. He worked in a store selling refrigerators and stoves to make ends meet, and did that for about 5 or 6 years, and then was finally convinced to come back to make these records. That's how hard it was to have a career at a certain point, when rock and roll started coming in, when the club scene in New York changed, and when corporatization happened in New York, where 52nd Street was knocked down, you know, to gentrify, to make large buildings, large business, skyscrapers. So it's something we're revisiting again in New York. We're seeing a lot of tall buildings coming up again. Back then, though, it displaced a lot of the culture in the city, in certain parts of the city. We're at critical mass now with that. But this dude here came back from being an appliance salesman, makes a semi-classic couple of records for Vanguard, and then slips back into the ether, and we don't know where he ended up.